So, I have a question for you. Have you gone out and bought your AR-15 yet? AR-15? Did I say that right? Did you go out? Have you gone out and bought your AR-15 yet? I'm just curious. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, Dawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning. It's me, Marty. You know, me. Also known as Dawg Knight on the Dawg Knight channel. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I am so happy that you are here. People are already rolling in. Did you get the sponge towel and lotion adapter? What? What the bloody hell are we talking about in the chat? What? Did you get the sponge towel and lotion adapter? Okay, that's okay. Anyway, hey, good morning, everybody. I am so happy that you're here. I'm happy that I'm here. Because I almost didn't make it here this morning. It was weird. Usually when I drive home from work on these days, I rarely see animals on the road. And usually, oftentimes when I'm driving to work, because I drive in the middle of the night, I drive at like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And a lot of times I'll be driving to work and I'll see some deer on the side of the road or whatever. But today in broad daylight, I'm driving back and a deer runs out in front of my truck. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing out here in the light? Those you hardly ever see deer during the day. But anyway, so I didn't hit the deer. I wasn't going that fast anyway. I was on a side street. But still, I was like, what the hell? Anyway, let's say good morning. Good morning, Sheograth, who gets the bell for being first. Hello. And good morning, Max Del Rio. Chicago Mike, hey, man, you're back. I haven't seen you in a while. Duck Dog, the gayest person on YouTube. Who else is here? Cynical Lindsay. Oh, you were just over on Polystream. I saw you over there. And good morning, RVA Dar, Maddie, Grillin' Pirate Pete. Man, the gang is rolling in like crazy. I love it. Anyway, so I made a little joke about, is there a crack in my cup? Holy shit, I'm going to have to throw this out. This is a nice cup, too. Oh, well. I do have my cup of Vibrations coffee. There's a crack in the cup, though. I just noticed. Anyway. So I was asking about your AR-15. Maybe that's why there's coffee on my coaster. Hey, Circus Zero. Good morning to you also. So I asked if you've bought your AR-15 yet, because I know that there's a lot of politicians, particularly in the Democratic side of the aisle, who are really keen on talking about taking your guns away. Now and that's always been one of those things. Now, in some ways, it's a scare tactic on the right. And in some ways, it's absolutely what they're saying on the left, that they want to take your guns away. And so, and in particular, Beto O'Rourke, who in the Democratic debate said, yes, we're going to come take your AR-15s. You can no longer have them. And then that responsible gun owners will just turn them in and give them up, and we'll have a buyback program. Like, right. Are they going to give you market value? Are they going to give you the used value? Are they, well, we know how poorly the so-called buyback or whatever program's gone in New Zealand, because they haven't gotten many guns back. And actually, it's funny because I have the only gun I have. Well, I don't have it. It's at my mother's house, and we have an old bolt action rifle. I don't even know the caliber of it. I'm gonna I think I'm gonna take that gun. It's one of these days and see if I can actually get it functioning. It was my great grandfather's gun. He had a bolt-action rifle. But anyway, so I'm totally getting off track here. So I'm fascinated by this whole thing because me not being a gun guy, but knowing enough to be dangerous, knows that an AR-15 is just a fancy looking special covering, basically rifle. I mean, there's nothing really super special about an AR-15, other than the configuration makes it look nasty, right? But there are rifles that don't look that nasty. They're just as powerful and whatnot, and semi-automatic. I don't get it. We have this moral panic about AR-15s because they have been used in some mass shootings. However, a vast majority of mass shootings, that the most effective ones have been done with handguns. So they really just they want you to. But anytime an AR-15 is used, it gets a lot of press because that's the moral panic weapon of choice right now. So I was thinking, I saw a funny meme, and I don't have it in handy, but the funny meme was that Beto O'Rourke is probably going to be named AR-15 Salesman of the Month, or perhaps of the Year, because I know there's a bunch of people going out and buying AR-15s now, afraid that they won't be able to buy one later, and people are buying ammunition. Just like during the Obama administration, people were out buying guns in record numbers. I think just all this talk of the Democrats has people nervous, and I think they're just going out buying guns. And so I just find it funny. So the first article that I brought up today was this one on the American Thinker, where it's called Beto's Gun Grab and Constitution Day. By the way, it's Constitution Day today. Wouldn't be a bad day to perhaps go and read it, especially if you're a candidate for president. Anyway, so this is called Beto's Gun Grab and Constitution Day. Was I in Dallas in 1963? Yeah, no, I wasn't born yet, so, but, I was close. Anyway, all right, so anyway, here we go. Beto's Gun Grab and Constitution Day. September 17th is Constitution Day. What? And Peter? Who's Peter? Robert. It's Robert Francis O'Rourke. Well, maybe, I don't know. Let me see. I don't know whether he was put Peter Francis O'Rourke. I'm not 100% sure, but let's just read the article anyway. And Peter Francis O'Rourke plans on celebrating by gutting the document's second... Yeah, it's Robert Francis O'Rourke. That's a typo. By gutting the document's Second Amendment, infringing on the right to bear arms that the Constitution says shall not be infringed. Of course, O'Rourke shares the Democrat belief that the Constitution's penumbras and emanations confer a right to privacy, allowing unborn children to be aborted until the moment of birth. Okay, so the explicit right to bear arms shall not be infringed versus the implicit conference to a right to privacy. There he was on Sunday's Meet the Press, his dental work complete and ear hair properly trimmed. Oh, this guy's brutal. To claim his plan to confiscate from law-abiding citizens by force and under penalty of law, meaning that they can, by penalty of guns coming to get you, their AR-15 was in fact... confiscate from law-abiding citizens by force or under penalty of law, their AR-15s was in fact constitutional under the Constitution's Commerce Clause. Oh, he's trying to say that it's constitutional under the Commerce Clause, as the Washington Free Beacon reported. Quote, I got to do it Beto style. This is something that we're able to do through the Commerce Clause, and this is something that is not wouldn't prevent the United States from doing by the Second Amendment, O'Rourke told host Chuck Todd. So this is constitutionally sound. No, it's not. It's not even common sense sound. The writers of the Constitution, fresh from war using guns to overthrow British tyranny and oppressive government, put the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights to protect the other 9, meaning the other 9 Bill of Rights amendments. There is no asterisk after the words shall not be infringed. The power to regulate interstate commerce, of which guns may be a part, is not the power to neuter the right to keep and bear arms. Gun grabbers such as O'Rourke insist the AR-15 is a weapon of war not intended to be protected by the Second Amendment for personal protection. When the Constitution was written, both the government and the people had the same weapon, the musket, which could be called the semi-automatic weapon, the AR-15 of its day, capable of being both used for war and for personal protection. That's an interesting point. I've never even thought of that point. Yeah, the musket they had was the same weapon of war they used, so they did have weapons of war. But let's keep going in the article. The Second Amendment did not come with an asterisk, nor is any of our rights enshrined in the Constitution in any way dependent on technology. The argument that the Second Amendment does not protect the right to bear an M1 Abrams tank is valid, but tanks are designed to be used against other tanks. Guns that fire bullets one at a time, such as the AR-15, are useful in both war and peace and are, in fact, in common use by civilian population of the United States. You know, the funniest argument that I keep hearing, because another one of these, some other Democrat, kind of like when Eric Swalwell said, well, you know what, if you know, we're going to come and take your guns, and you're going to fight back. Well, you can't fight against tanks and nuclear weapons. Well, I'm pretty sure that the Taliban held off the Soviet army and our army, whatever, for quite a long time with some makeshift bullshit weapons. Also, now first, and also you got to decide, okay, so if the AR-15 is a weapon of war, but it's not going to withstand anyone coming after you with some other weapon, then it must not be that dangerous anyway, right? I hope you followed my logic there. I know I was not very articulate in saying that. Anyway, former Navy SEAL Dan Rizzo is quoted in the Federalist as describing the AR-15 as the ideal defensive weapon against heavily armed predators. In the wake of the Orlando terrorist attack, the deadliest strike on U.S. soil since 9/11, Democratic lawmakers and progressive activists have responded by attempting to limit access to firearms, particularly the AR-15, which it was incorrectly reported as the weapon the terrorists used to kill at least 49 people and injure another 53. In a new video, former Navy SEAL Dom Razzo explains why the AR-15, the most popular rifle in the country, gives Americans the best chance of surviving in the age of terror. Choosing to defend one's home with the AR-15 is a common sense choice, as it is powerful, accurate, and easy to shoot, Razzo said. Gun control legislation doesn't stop terror attacks. Duh! He explains, citing the two terrorists who weren't deterred by California's assault weapons ban when they killed 14 people in San Bernardino last year. Nor would any gun ban have stopped the Boston bombers when they detonated a bomb at the Boston Marathon, killing 3 and wounding at least 260 others. Ironically, both of these incidents of terror were brought to a stop by armed police officers responding to the scene with AR-15s, the same weapon legislators are trying to ban. Why would you want to ban a gun you pray for police to show up with? Razzo asked. Indeed. Why would you? Why is this thing over here? I can't even see this damn thing. All right, here we go. Indeed, why would you? As one wag put it, a gun in the hand is better than a cop on the phone, and a response time for a bullet from an AR-15 is a lot quicker than calling 911. The AR-15 has been chosen by popular demand as a defensive weapon of choice, despite similar earlier nonsensical ruling by another federal judge. Yeah, you know, I don't care. I'm not a gun guy, but I don't care if people have purchased their own guns. You know, I mean, why do you think? I think one of the worst ideas for another country. Now, granted, there's the whole nuclear weapon thing too, but could you imagine if someone decided they wanted to invade the United States? Would that just be silly or what? Because I mean, there's so many people with guns, and there's people out there who hunt and track and, know their ways around the forest. And, there's a lot of people just into that shit. And I just, what? This is not the country to mess with. You're not going to invade this country. Anyway, so despite the similar earlier nonsensical ruling by another federal judge. Okay, so as he goes on, as the Ferguson riots raged, U.S. District Court Judge Catherine C. Blake, appointed by President Clinton, issued a ruling that upheld the Maryland law, saying that the court seriously doubts that the banned assault long guns are commonly possessed for lawful purposes and is inclined to find the weapons fall outside the Second Amendment protection as dangerous and unusual. Wow, now I have never ever heard. Have you ever heard any part of the Second Amendment that says anything about dangerous or unusual? Aren't all weapons dangerous? Every weapon is dangerous. I'm sorry, if you have a shiv made out of a plastic that you sharpened in the mess kitchen at the prison, it's a weapon that's dangerous and unusual. I'm sorry. Anyway, whatever. Now, the Second Amendment, written in the era of muskets, does not mention what arms we have a right to keep and bear, but we have an idea based on how they were used to protect their owners' homes, businesses, farms, and families, and to fight the tyranny of the British Crown. It has been said that the Second Amendment was put in the Bill of Rights to protect the other 9. Gun control advocates say with some snarkiness that the Second Amendment doesn't allow one to own nuclear weapons or tanks, so it's merely a question of where we draw the line. Well, I don't. Why not? Why can't you own a tank? Why not? Okay. Anyway, I'm just curious. Why can't you? I'm pretty sure there are people who own tanks. Anyway, they draw the line at the AR-15 and its counterparts, which, despite the judge's claims, are commonly used for legal defensive purposes. Hell, they're used for lots of other purposes. Well, I know the people like in Texas and Arkansas use them to kill feral pigs too. Anyway, the AR-15 is among the guns that must be registered. They've made up 50 to 60% of U.S. rifle sales in recent years, federal figures show. The New York Times recently called the AR-15 the most wanted gun in America. Senator Dianne Feinstein, California, has been pushing a bill to reintroduce the ineffective assault weapons 1994 ban that expired in 2004 with no impact on the crime rate. Yeah. In fact, those were the years where everyone... Like in Minneapolis, they were calling it Murderapolis because there were so many murders and it had nothing to do with AR-15s that were supposedly banned. Anyway, while used in several high-profile mass shootings, the AR-15 is favored among homeowners, hunters, and sports shooters. It's most popular for sport and self-defense among women who find it easy to carry and handle. Crime rates and homicides have dropped as concealed carry laws spread nationwide. As more citizens are armed, predators find it harder to find unarmed victims except in gun-free zones, such as the school in Newtown, Connecticut, and the theater in Aurora, Colorado. There are a lot of shootings happen in gun-free zones. You know what? The assholes who are going to kill people are going to be assholes who are going to kill people, and they're going to find the guns no matter what. And actually, like for example, the deadliest judge, the one in Virginia, when the Vietnamese guy went and killed a bunch of people at the University of Virginia, he was using handguns. It's a cosmetic ban, and it's not a solution to the problem. Plus, it is dog bites man world. I'm sorry. Yes, there's been high profile shootings that were all over the news when someone used an AR-15 to kill people. It's still dog bites man in the realm of murders in the United States. It's a tiny percentage of those. Do you want any murders in the United States? No, but it's law-abiding. I've yet to have the NRA member go out on a shooting spree. I still haven't heard of that one. Now, if and when that happens, oh boy, are the knives going to be out because they're already going to be ready to take your guns. You're only going to have knives. Anyway, critics of the Second Amendment say that they are not going after guns used for legitimate activities such as hunting. What's a legitimate activity? Is protect. Let me ask you. If you feel that you need a weapon to protect your home, is that a legitimate activity? That's all. That's all. I don't. They're not going after guns for legitimate activities such as hunting. Wow. Anyway, but when the founders wrote the Second Amendment, it was because the British were coming, not because it was the start of deer season. As Fox News contributor Judge Andrew Napolitano notes, the historical reality of the Second Amendment protection of the right to keep and bear arms is not that it protects the right to shoot deer, wrote Judge Andrew Napolitano recently in the Washington Times. It protects the right to shoot tyrants, and it protects the right to shoot them effectively with the same instruments they would use upon us. If the Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto had had the firepower and ammunition that the Nazis had, some of Poland might have stayed free and more persons would have survived the Holocaust. The AR-15 is a defensive weapon, such as when it was used by a 15-year-old who grabbed his father's AR-15 and used it to ward off home invaders. Not only did this brave 15-year-old defend his home against two burglars, but also his 12-year-old sister, who was in the house with him. He grabbed his father's AR-15 and shot one of the burglars multiple times. They got away, but had to go right to the hospital, where the minor was arrested, and the adult who was shot was flown to a different hospital. So, if the AR-15 had been available in 1776, everyone would have had one. I'm not even going to read that paragraph. Everyone would have had one. Because. Just because. Anyway. All right, so yeah, that's that. I kind of have a chuckle every time I hear him say, "We are going to come and take your guns because we can, and people are going to give up their guns because we say so." No, they're not. And I don't know why you'd want to. Anyway. By the way, a couple people have popped in since I started. Good morning, Longfish61 and Functional. How you doing? Also, Sadistic Atheist. Nice to see you. And let's see, Circus Zero, you already here. I said hello already. So good morning, everybody. It's nice to have you all here. Now, really quick, and Straight Sith Mail. How are you? So, hey, it is the Morning Night Live, and every morning on the Morning Night Live, I find at least one moment to shill. So this is my shilling moment right down there, right there, over there. There's that share arrow. If you haven't already done so, share this out with your friends and family or whoever you spend the time on social media with. Thank you already to Angel Tibbs and Sarah for retweeting my tweet. Also, I see my friends, a couple other friends have retweeted a couple other things I had. By the way, if you do want to follow me on Twitter, this hand, right down here. Okay, that's my Twitter handle, at Dawg Knight. Also on Minds and Gab. Although Gab's down today. I don't use Gab for anything except for to put out my show. And then Minds I'm on occasionally. Also, I have an Instagram, which is at Yes That Marty, because I'm that Marty. Yes, that Marty. So if you want to see pictures of flowers and birds, that's pretty much all I do on there. Or vacation shot, beautiful vacation shots. I use Instagram for mostly photography, occasional family picture, but mostly things. I like taking photos of birds for some reason. I'm into taking photos of birds, and also I'm into flowers. I've gardened a lot, and also I'm really into finding cool wildflowers out in the wild, and so that's kind of my thing. So there you go. But my point was, this is shill time. I'm supposed to be shilling. So, if you would be so kind when you are on the show or in the chat, make sure you hit the share button. There's my tweet from today, putting the show that saying the show's on now. And also, good morning, Zombie Teddy. Also, hit the like button. If you like what I'm doing, hit the like button. I appreciate that, and it's great feedback. And we also do super chats, but not through YouTube. You see there's no little YouTube super chat thing there. I don't have enough subscribers yet, but down below, there is a Streamlabs link where if you absolutely want me to read something on the air or respond to something, please put it via super chat. You can put as little as $1 and you can still write stuff when you use Streamlabs. Also, I use that for donations when the show's not on live. I just have one link that way that everyone can find it. I thought of doing Venmo and Zelle and Pay Me and all that crap, but I'm not going to do that. So there you go. And I'm very reluctant to open up my Patreon for other than supporting other people right now because, hey, you know, why would I? I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's get into some more articles here. What's my next one? Oh, Sheila Jackson Lee. This is more on gun control. Let's talk about what Sheila Jackson Lee's talking about. Jackson Lee says House members will have to start flooding the Senate to get gun control. You know, the only kind of gun control that I want is to be able to shoot straight. You know, I thought of something. They opened a new gun range not too far from my house. And I've gone to the gun range a couple times with my nephew down when I've been visiting down in Omaha. And I actually enjoy shooting. Actually, I was in some Marine Corps training when I was in college. I did a 10-week platoon leaders course, you know, potential officers, but I didn't take any money, so I never went in the Marines. But that was one of the things that I was really good at. When we were shooting at 200 and 500 yards with, I think we were using M16s at the time. And I was really good at that. I got an expert designation from just the training that we got there. Usually it's because I wasn't always on the center target, but my groupings were always really tight. I would always be really good at that. But I haven't shot really much since then, other than when I've gone down and shot some handguns with my nephew. But I don't own guns. But my wife and I were talking the other night. We're like, hey, I told her about this gun range that I just happened to notice, and she's like, hey, we should go try and shoot sometime. I'm like, really? What? Lady Boomer wants to shoot guns too? I don't know. It's interesting. It's actually kind of fun. I do like seeing how accurately I can shoot. Anyway, all right. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat, Texas, said that members of the House of Representatives would have to start flooding the Senate in order to get gun control measures passed. You know, are any of y'all in the chat gun people? I'm just curious. I see a couple of you talking about different types of weapons and things. Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's that we don't have enough gun laws? Do you think that maybe the gun laws on the books aren't enforced well enough? Or do you I mean, it seems to me whenever there's a major dog bites man event, gun crime, it always seems like very rarely are the weapons obtained legally. I mean, it's like, you know, like what's the kid Newtown, the kid stole his mom's or grandma's weapons to do this. What do you think the issue is? Anyway, let me go back to Sheila Jackson Lee. She says, I don't know what else it takes, but I don't believe we can stop at the door of the United States House. I believe there will have to be an emergence of members of the House flooding the United States Senate for Senator McConnell to understand that these initiatives today, my gun storage bill, my bill that I've introduced dealing with the caliber weapon, I've held an AR-15. Okay, this is Sheila Jackson Lee. I've held an AR-15 in my hand. I wish I had it. It is as heavy as 10 boxes that you might be moving, and the bullet that is utilized is a 50 caliber. These kinds of bullets need to be licensed and do not need to be on the street, she said recently on Capitol Hill. Now, wait a minute. Okay, help me out here, people. I know that now my limited knowledge, again, is going to show here, but well, the standard there's two configurations for an AR-15. Like I know one's a 227, which is like a 22, basically, isn't it? Is that about the? And then there's a 5.58. I guess. I suppose that's like 50 caliber. How do you license bullets? How would you? This is just. Oh my god. I'm assuming because you use use the different configurations for different things. She's just talking. Oh my god, I don't know. And it's so heavy. I thought the 220. Excuse me, I meant 223. Is that right? I don't know. It's as heavy as 10 boxes that you might be moving. I thought the great thing about an AR-15 is it's not as heavy weapon. Now I know that the bolt action rifle that I have, the wooden stock and handle, that's a pretty heavy weapon. But I know that it's a fairly long barreled rifle. It'd be great for long distance accuracy. I guess I don't know enough about AR-15s, but I thought the reason the AR-15 is an effective weapon is it's a little more lightweight than other weapons. I don't know. In July, Jackson Lee introduced several gun control bills in the House, which would ban the possession of firearms over 50 caliber and restrict it. Wait a minute. Now, any deer hunters out there? Because I thought if you shoot deer or large game with small caliber weapons, that's more cruel to the animal, isn't it? Because it won't take it out. So don't you need a larger caliber weapon specifically for game hunting? Again, this is my lack of knowledge, so you guys can help me in the chat. AR-15s aren't that heavy. The bullet it shoots is nowhere near 50 caliber. Yeah, I don't think there's 5.56 millimeters. It's a 223 Remington. Okay, that's what it is. So yeah, it's not a 50 cal. That's a 50 cal is one of those. That's like the big army type machine gun that you'd use. I mean, holy shit, she does know talking out of her ass. Okay. Anyway, Jackson introduced several gun control bills in the House, which would ban the possession of firearms over 50 caliber and restrict individuals from storing firearms in a residence where someone under 18 is likely to get access to the firearm without their permission. Well, that's pretty freaking vague. Okay, let's say I have a really good gun safe. Okay, you can't store your firearm in a residence? Get the hell out of Dodge. You got to be kidding. You say common sense. They always say common sense gun laws. How is that common sense? If I am a hunter and I have my 13-year-old son that I'm teaching to go to hunt deer, can I store a firearm in my residence safely as a responsible gun owner? I know that one of the things that people say, they're trying to call the NRA a terrorist organization because they promote the gun ownership. But also, doesn't the NRA probably have gun safety courses that teach you proper storing of weapons and teach you how to, if you have children in the house, how to properly store a weapon? So she's trying to have legislation that storing firearm in a residence where someone under 18 is likely to get access to the firearm without permission. How do you know they're likely to get access to the firearm without permission? What if I have a bolted down gun safe that only I know the combination to, that in my basement where I keep my guns? How is the person under 18 likely to get access to that firearm without my permission if I'm a responsible gun owner? The legislation would exempt those individuals. Oh, I see. Here we go. The legislation would exempt those individuals who keep their firearms or ammunition secured, unloaded, and separately in a safe certified by the Attorney General and locked with a certified lock, or if it's stored in a gun range or storage facility that is certified by the Attorney General. you know what? I'm pretty sure all those illegal weapons in the hood aren't stored that way. See, this is the people, and you know what? The people who are responsible already do this. I don't, God, I don't get it. No, professional deer stalkers don't need high caliber. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, it's a point of pride that one shot kills. Yeah, I mean, you want to be. I know that enough about. I know enough. I've read enough about deer hunting. Yeah, if you can, your pride is that if you can do a heart shot or a head shot, that takes the deer down in one shot. That's what you want. You don't want an injured animal running around around the plains. Anyway, Jackson C. Lee said that her constituents in Texas are frightened after recent mass shootings that occurred in the state. I got to find something here. Sorry, guys. We're going to find out. Sheila Jackson Lee's district. Sheila Jackson Lee district. Let's find Sheila Jackson Lee's district in Texas. Where is she represented? Here we go. The 18th Congressional District. I think it's part of Houston. Is that correct? Let's just take this map down to smaller. Okay. Beaumont Highway. So she is in the Houston area. So here's my question. Sheila Jackson Lee just said her constituents in Texas, okay, her constituents, which means her district, because I don't think the people in Texas are frightened after the recent mass shootings that occurred in the state. Because Texas is a firearm-heavy state. I know lots of people in Texas have higher firearms. But let's talk about her district. Let's talk about murder rate in Houston, Texas. Crime statistics, neighborhood scout. Just gonna let me do it. Here's the map coming up. Houston crime. Oh, this is okay. All right. So number of violent crimes: 25,843, 11.7 per thousand residents. Property crimes: 98,197, total of 120. Because that's violent and property crimes. Violent crime comparison per 1,000 residents is almost 3 times the rate of the rest of Texas. My chances of becoming a victim of a violent crime in Houston, 1 in 89. 1 in 89 people chances of becoming a victim of a violent crime. In the rest of Texas, 1 in 228. Good. Okay. That's just seems like a pretty I bet the people in your district would love to have legal firearms to protect themselves against violent crime in Houston. The people in your district need to be afraid of... I'm sorry, one mass shooting in Houston ain't going to add much to the total percentage. Holy smack. Okay, thanks for the I'm getting a nice lesson in weaponry and caliber in the chat here. Because I really didn't even know much back when I was shooting shit back in college. That was the last time I had any weapon experience. I haven't really had any since, other than going shooting handguns with my nephew. So thank you for everyone putting information in the chat. She continues, we are at a domestic crisis, and it's toxic, and it's combined with hatred, and besides the toxicity of hate, we have guns, and we cannot wait any longer. She said, we're good people in Texas, but we're frightened. And so what I'm hearing from people is they are frightened that they believe they cannot live in this kind of status and definition of what Texas is. Look here, Missy. Again, this is moral panic over man-bite dog events. And, if you really looked at violent crime overall, violent crime has decreased quite a bit over the last 15 or so years. And I'm not, and that includes during the Obama administration and then the last 3 years even. Now, you do have a media that is quick to emphasize certain types of violent crime. Okay, so if there is a mass shooting, which is a rare event in comparison to, murder in the United States, they love to amplify that, especially, and I hate to say it, but it is the truth. If it's a white male who does that particular thing, they're going to amplify it more. And if they have any even tangential right of center ideology, they're going to amplify it more. And the dickhead in Dallas, or not, El Paso, who wrote his little stupid ass manifesto, even though he's an environmentalist, I didn't understand the connection there. They're going to amplify that more because El Paso certainly got a lot more attention than Dayton did. There's some, a couple minor differences, but just crazy how much different those two events got as far as attention. Now the Pulse nightclub incident got a lot of attention for another reason, because it's a population which we are trying to protect, save the gay people, save the, whatever. But that was done by another one. They don't talk about the fact that was a certain type of religious extremism that was involved there. They want to say, oh no, it was anti-gay. The anti-gay came from the religious extremism there, okay? But they don't want to talk. They don't like to talk about that part of it. So they like to talk about certain parts because there's a narrative going on, and in particular, crimes since November 2016, or since a certain candidate who's now president announced his running for president. They love to talk about a certain type of crime, and yet we still have an epidemic of murders and cities. That's why when I see when my fellow brothers want to talk about even Sheila Jackson Lee, when Sheila Jackson Lee wants to talk about these two events, the man bites dog events that were mass shootings, how many people have been murdered in Houston? How many people have been murdered in her congressional district? I'll bet you that number dwarfs the number of mass shootings in Texas. Let's say take over a 5-year period, or since Trump became president. How many people have been murdered in her district versus mass shootings in Texas? That are, well, it's funny because it depends on how you want to call mass shootings too, because there's been mass shootings in her district, but they don't want to call them mass shootings because they say, well, they're not counting the ones that are gang related or drug related, but they're mass shootings. If you look on the mass shooting map, those are mass shootings, but they don't like to talk about those. Okay. So there, again, there's a narrative. And right now the narrative is, oh, Trump is influencing hate or creating hate. And so they need to amplify those type of events that fit within their narrative. And yet we still got a problem of people killing each other. One of my favorite lines from one of these songs back in the day, back in the 90s, when we were having serious gang related killings for a long time. It was a song, it was a rap song, whatever, by a multiple number of rap lyric MCs, I'll say. It was called Self-Destruction. And Kool Mo D, if you remember Kool Mo D back in the day, best line in that song was, I never had to run from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man. but we forget that line. It's going to come up in a video that I'm still working on a video. You know what? I might just make start making a daily standalone, or maybe every other day, just a standalone video, one article focused on that, and put that out on a daily basis. But I'm working on several different long form videos. When I say long form, 10 to 15 minutes long, where I can get a little bit deeper in this topic. Anyway, I'm rambling again. All right, so let's move on because I've been rambling again. By the way, a couple more people showed up. Good morning, MC, Hammer Time, and Tyler F, and Joys of Sorrow, Pincalo, Lindsay. Good morning. Oh, Lindsay, you were here earlier? Yes, you were already here. No, you just got here too. I thought. Good morning, Lindsay. How are you? And yeah, good one. Oh, you've never heard that line before? Yeah. I should play that video one of these. I'll put it in the video that I'm making, but kind of based on that topic, because I think we spend way more time talking about police brutality, and police are not the people that are killing us. Okay, I watched this forum that P. Diddy or Puff Daddy or whatever, Sean Combs put on. And I'm sure you've seen some clips, because apparently they think that Candace Owens got on. We talked about this. I think we talked about this yesterday. And there's a little 243 winning tag. Still near me if you want it. Oh, I don't know. I'm not ready to purchase any weapons yet. But anyway, there's a clip of Candace Owens and T.I. going at it at this forum, and everyone's saying, Candace got owned, blah, 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 blah. But I would love to be in one of those forums, because I could have answered T.I.'s questions very easily. When they say "Make America Great Again," what era are you talking about? No. We're not talking about an era, okay? And I think that's the misconception about the Trump slogan, "Make America Great Again." And I'm not a MAGA person. You know that. All y'all know that. I'm not a MAGA person. But it's the idea that America is great, that we talk about America. It doesn't mean that America hasn't had its flaws. Obviously, we've had many flaws. There have been many things that we've done that in our historical context from now to looking back, America's done some shitty things, okay? I mean, but guess what? America's a concept, and as a beacon to other parts of the world, is great. And other parts of the world think we are great. And we have done great things, okay? Like I said, within one generation of becoming a country, we abolished slavery, which, you know what? Slavery sucked. Of course it did. But it's a 5,000, 10,000 year practice that we didn't invent. There was slavery all over the world. And so Western nations began abolishing it. Okay, now we weren't the first, but we were one of many in the first. And a lot of people died, fighting a war that not everyone was fighting against slavery, but that's part of what the war was about. Was America great when we abolished slavery? Yes. Was America great? And T.I. says, well, what era was great? When women couldn't vote? No, but when we decided that women should be able to vote, was that something that made America great? Yes. Although I know there's some who disagree with that one. Was America great when we saved the world or helped save the world in World War II, World War I, and World War II? Yes. Was America great when we became an economic powerhouse during the Industrial Revolution and post-war revolution, when we learned how to become an economic engine, and when we began to feed the world? Was America great then? Yes. Was America great when within 2 generations or 2.5 generations? I'll say 2 because I have a great grandfather who was a slave and a grandfather who lived through the civil rights era. When we decided that maybe America should have civil rights for all within 2 generations of becoming a country, 3 generations of becoming a country. Does that make America great? Yes! When we began to have more understanding and people learning to live together in the 80s and 90s, and we had, economic growth, and we had people getting jobs and people going to college that were never able to do so before. Does that make America great? Yes! Does America... does a country that allows you to have opportunities where you can start with nothing and become something, does that make America great? Yes! When a black man who lives in the projects, growing up on food stamps, can become one of the world's foremost neurosurgeon. Can that happen in any other country? Does that make America... And I'm talking about Ben Carson, who grew up in the projects, became the world's foremost neurosurgeon. Does that make America great? Yes! My great-grandfather was a black man, son of a slave. Former slave, excuse me. Was able to get a law degree during the Great Depression. Does that make America great? Yes! Is America perfect? No! Is any country perfect? No! But to say that America was never great is nuts. Why are there millions of people trying to come here then? Is it an illusion? No, it's not an illusion. Anyone can make it in America. Now, maybe that's not true. Not everyone has the capacity to be everything they dream of. Okay? But does living in the United States, if you have an ability, are you allowed to flourish to the best that your abilities allow you to flourish if you believe you can? Okay? So I'm not saying not everyone can become the world's great neurosurgeon. But Ben Carson became a great neurosurgeon because he did have that capacity. He did have the brain for it. And even though he grew up in the projects, he was able to accomplish that dream through his work and ability and because he lived in America. Could that have happened in other countries? In some countries, you're born into a class, you're stuck there. Now, I just saw statistics that over the last 2 years, there have been more than 1 million families in the United States that have moved to what we call just statistically, that have moved from a poor class into the middle class. Okay, and I guess they use a metric of households earning $50,000 or more. Okay, over 1 million households. Is that part of that make America great? Make America great? Sure it is. I don't think Trump's slogan, "Make America Great Again," meant, like some people want to say, well, that means make America white again. No, it doesn't. Because there are more than just white Americans. And I'm pretty confident that when he thought of that slogan, it had nothing to do with anyone's skin color. I'm pretty sure it had to do with our prior president, who I don't have anything against Obama. I just think he's wrong on so many things. But his tendency to not think of America as great, to think that, well, we've done all these terrible things, and, he would always down talk America. So I thought perhaps that the slogan from Trump was just to get away from that, talking about all the negative to America. What can we do to make America great? What can we do for America to be great? And so that, and again, I'm not a MAGA guy. I don't disagree with the slogan, though. Yeah, let's make America as good as we could possibly make it. Let's see if we can get people working again. Let's see if we can get people out of poverty. Let's see if we can get people off the streets. This homeless problem it's funny. Every time, it's funny how you only, it's amazing. Every time there's a Republican in the White House, you ever notice how they always start talking about the homeless people again? As if they weren't here during Obama era or Clinton era or anyone else so much. They're always there. But it's funny, now we're going to start talking about them. Well, guess what? There's jobs now. There's a lot of jobs. You can't, I know some people are still, I have people watch this show that someone the other day told me, that she's been looking for a job for X number of months, but it's not like there's not work out there. Now, granted, it may not be in your field. You might have to work in a job you don't like. Hell, I did that. I've been doing that, and I'm still at that job because I decided that I made a choice of, things were going so well in this job, so I got another part-time job, and that job actually pays for my health care. And so I kept that job because it's not so bad and I don't have to work that much, but I still get my healthcare paid for. I mean, even though we could get healthcare through my wife's work, but it was cheaper to do it the way I did it. So I worked 4 hours a day at this job where I can get healthcare, whatever. But are there jobs out there? It might not be exactly what you want, but is there a job that you can sustain your lifestyle? Yeah, there is. There's a lot of jobs out there, and everyone's hiring right now. So, I don't know. When you just feel you can always pretend to be whatever you want online. Hey! I just read that. Okay. So, I don't know. My point is, you got to decide which side of that slogan you want to be on. Do you want to be on the negative side, talking about how terrible everything is? Or can you be on the positive side of it, saying, hey, you know what? There are great things about this country. And if you only focus on the negative, well, maybe, I don't know, if you don't want to be here, hey, it's kind of cold in Canada, but hey, they'll probably take you. I don't know. Maybe they won't. Who knows? But, and I understand as a person, here's that phrase. I hate to use it, but yes, I understand as a person of color. It wasn't always great for us. But you know what? It wasn't always terrible for us either. There were times that when we decided that there were times when Black America was flourishing. We had businesses and we thought entrepreneurially, and we had, when I was a kid, my grandfather was an attorney. Now he passed before I was adopted, but anyway, my grandfather was an attorney. I had one grandmother who ran a jewelry department in a department store for many years. Okay, she had a good job. My other grandmother was a teacher, and she taught. She was a college professor during the summer. She did part-time college professor and I was a high school teacher. My parents both had master's degrees. My father, first black man to graduate from his college. My mother had a degree in mathematics, taught math in high schools, and then eventually got a master's degree in psychology and became the director of guidance. My parents, basically, with a bunch of other black professionals, went out and built a whole new neighborhood in the suburbs because they could. Because this is America and you could do that. And even through the stuff that they went through prior to the Civil Rights Acts, now granted, my parents both grew up in the North. My dad grew up in rural, somewhat pseudo-rural Iowa. It wasn't the same as living in the South, but people still got discriminated against. Don't kid yourself. There was actual redlining when my parents went looking to build their house, where when they would go to a house, they'd go to an open house because they were going to go buy a house. They both had pretty long teaching careers and had money to buy a house, and they go to a house, in a certain neighborhood, and the realtor wouldn't even talk to them. They'd just kind of look at them, not say anything to them. The next couple would come in. They'd come and show this couple around. They would never even talk to my parents. Okay, so my parents said, okay, fuck it. We're going to go build a house in an unincorporated area, and we're going to start our own neighborhood. And they had some other professionals that moved out there. They were professionals. Our veterinarian was a black man. We took our dogs, and then my sister, actually had a horse too. She was, in fact, my sister. So my sister, we had horses when I was a kid because my parents, there was actual redlining, so they made this neighborhood just outside of the city limits. They built this neighborhood with a bunch of other families, and basically the anchors of the neighborhood were black families, and then there's all these white people who eventually built houses in the neighborhood too. But before all those people moved in, my parents got my sister a horse. My sister was the only black girl in 4-H because my parents okay, well, you know what? We live out here, and there's one of her friends has a horse, so we'll get my daughter. They'll get my sister a horse too. My sister was the only black girl in 4-H in probably the whole state at the time, and she rode Western style riding. There's Western and there's English. She rode Western, so with the flannel and the cowboy hats and all that shit, she barrel raced. It's because you could, because we live in America. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm just you know what? My parents were those people who you know what? Don't ever tell them they can't do something, because they'll just do it anyway. Maybe that was just it. I don't know. Maybe that's just because that's a mindset. It's a mindset that we have to have. And I don't care what your race is. It doesn't matter. If you have a mindset that you're going to come in to wherever you are, and I can do that, and I'm going to do that because I want to do that, and I have the capacity to do that. You have the opportunity to do that in the United States. Does that make America great? Yes! Rant over. Hello, Green Thunder D Mighty. How are you? Thanks. Welcome to the show. Oh, by the way, anyone here who hasn't subscribed, right down there. Hit that subscribe, hit the bell. Then you'll get notifications. Also, follow me on Twitter, which is on this side. At Dawg Knight. Twitter, Gab, Minds. Although Gab was down this morning. I don't know why. So, and if you haven't done so already, while you're thinking about it, while I have you here, please hit the like button. I don't know. Let's see. How many people we have here right now? This is, okay, so there's 21 and there's 13 likes. Okay, that's a problem. I know if you're still here and you've been listening this long, you like what I'm doing. Hit the like button while you're thinking about it. But don't do it if you're driving. Okay, don't. If you're driving, just wait till we're done, or do it after the fact. I see one hat hit. Somebody did it. Come on, the rest of you, let's go. Let's go. All right. I had some other articles. Do I want to go with these? Here, I'll do this. I'll do one more article. What the hell is that? That's my phone, because it's telling me that I should be doing Twitter trends by now. That's my alarm for Twitter trends. So that's the next. Shut up. All right. I have one more article, then we'll do Twitter trends here real quick. Because I found something fascinating. So y'all, I'm sure many of you have been following this whole thing with Brett Kavanaugh. Is that a thumbs down? What is that? Did you unlike me? Why I oughta. Anyway, all right. So we've been following this little thing. Excuse me. Following this little thing with the New York Times and Brett Kavanaugh, and the New York Times publishes this thing about Kavanaugh, and then they have to backtrack because apparently it was all bullshit. Here's something fascinating. There's a couple quick articles about that. So new details emerge in New York Times smear of Brett Kavanaugh. Let's click this over. New York Times reporters who wrote their smear article on Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh claimed on Monday night that they included the exculpatory evidence in their article, but the editors removed it. That's what they're claiming now. The allegations targeting Kavanaugh, contained in a new book, was published in the New York Times over the weekend. We also uncovered a previously unreported story about Kavanaugh in his freshman year that echoes Ms. Ramirez's allegation. A classmate, Max Steyer, saw Mr. Kavanaugh with his pants down at a different drunken dorm party where friends pushed his penis into the hand of a female student. In other words, Brett Kavanaugh was sexually assaulted. If he didn't do it himself, somebody else did it? What? Anyway, the New York Times was pummeled online for nearly all of Sunday after it was revealed that they left critical information out of their report and were later forced to issue a correction. Quote, an earlier version of this article, which was adapted from a forthcoming book, did not include one element of the book's account regarding an assertion by a Yale classmate that friends of Brett Kavanaugh pushed his penis into the hand of a female student at a drunken dorm party. The book reports that the female student declined to be interviewed, and friends say that she does not recall the incident. That information has been added to the article. Oh, really? Appearing on MSNBC's The Last Word with host Loris O'Donnell, Robin Pogrebin, and Kate Kelly said that they included in their article the fact that the alleged victim does not remember the incident, but that the far-left newspaper's editors removed it from the story. Bum, bum, bum. Among those criticizing the Times for its handling of the story is President Trump, who has issued a series of tweets condemning the Times for assaulting and smearing Kavanaugh, and is now calling on anyone involved in the publishing of the story to resign. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of silly, because he can't call for the resignation of people, but he did anyway. I call for the resignation of everybody at the New York Times involved in the Kavanaugh smear story, and while you're at it, the Russian witch hunt hoax, which is just as phony. Trump tweeted Monday, they've taken the old gray lady and broken her down, destroyed her virtue, and ruined her reputation. She could never recover and will never return to the greatness under current management. The Times is dead. Long live the New York Times. Oh my gosh, he has a flair for that. Just that's. He just trolls the hell out of it. I don't know if I like it or not, but I can laugh at it. I'll just tell you that right now. Trump also tweeted a quote out from Fox News host Greg Gutfeld asking how many stories are wrong. Almost all of the stories the New York Times has done are inaccurate and wrong. He ain't lying. How many corrections have they had to write on bombshell stories? The New York Times should close its doors and throw away the keys, Trump added. The woman mentioned in the Kavanaugh story, the woman mentioned in the Kavanaugh story said she didn't even remember the event. Trump has also repeatedly urged Kavanaugh to sue the Times and other media outlets who push unsubstantiated smears about him. Brett Kavanaugh should start suing people for libel, or the Justice Department should come to his rescue, Trump wrote in another post. The lies being told about him are unbelievable, false accusations without recrimination. When does it stop? They're trying to influence his opinions. Can't let that happen. You know, it's to a point where what am I trying to say here? You know, all they're trying to do is discredit the court and discredit him. And it's insane. I'm sorry. I mean, fire them. Hell, there needs to be sanctions, but you know what? There is no repercussions from doing this from that, and that's the problem. They know there are no repercussions. You know, and I'm fully on board with freedom of the press. They absolutely, but to publish just it's lying with omissions, and so they know that they can't. You just have to have the truth come out, and you have to have it come out as strong as it did as the lie came out, and it never does. The lie travels around the world before the truth can get out of the gate. So it's just that shitty thing. And so here's the other one. But here's another good point, I thought. This is not a winning strategy for the Democrats and the media, which I know that's redundant. Democrats seize on losing campaign issue ahead of 2020. Republicans cheer renewed focus on Kavanaugh. In a bad year for Republicans, the GOP successfully used Brad Kavanaugh's contentious Supreme Court confirmation as a rallying call ahead of last year's midterm elections. But Democratic presidential candidates are running headlong into the issue ahead of the 2020 presidential election regardless. Reporting from a pair of New York Times reporters on new, though hazy and unsubstantiated, sexual assault allegations has thrust Kavanaugh back into the news. Several leading Democratic candidates for president quickly seized on the report, now revised to note that the alleged victim of the assault doesn't recall the incident, to call for Kavanaugh's impeachment from the court. Elizabeth Warren, Kamala, all of them. This is all of them said some shit about it and want to impeach Trump or impeach the Supreme Court justice. Republicans, including President Donald Trump's re-election campaign, cheered the reemergence of debates surrounding Kavanaugh's confirmation as an issue in the presidential election. Even before the Times report and a spate of new books about the confirmation fight put Kavanaugh back in the news, Trump's re-election campaign, along with that of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, was selling T-shirts touting Kavanaugh's confirmation. If you want to see some troll-ass T-shirts, go look at the T-shirts that the McConnell campaign has been putting out. Some of them are funny. President Donald Trump and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell just keep winning, a joint fundraising site said, calling the duo back-to-back Supreme Court champs. Oh my God, you know how much the Democrats hate that. Midterm election exit polls from CNN identified Kavanaugh as the GOP's secret weapon in battleground states across the country. A majority of voters polled in each of the 4 states where Democrats lost a Senate seat said the Kavanaugh nomination impacted their vote, and in each state, those voters broke towards Republicans. Tim Martell, Trump's campaign director of communications, said Democrats were revisiting the lost battle by using the flawed Times report to call on Kavanaugh. Here's hilarious, calling on Kavanaugh's impeachment. Here's what's hilarious. What's my rule on bombshell type news like that or anything that happens? My rule is wait 3 to 5 days before you make any definitive comment on anything anymore. But because we are finally, we're constantly getting corrections and revisions that make the story that was supposedly a bombshell into something completely different. Take the Kavanaugh, Blasey Ford. Completely different after a few days. Take the Covington kids. Take Jussie Smollett. All these bombshell things, and they all turn into something else. And now this one. All these candidates immediately after the New York Times article comes out, and Democrats across the board were saying, time to impeach Kavanaugh, time to impeach Kavanaugh, time to impeach. Wait, what? What was that? She doesn't recall. She doesn't remember the incident. What do you mean? What? Shit! They did it again. Never mind. Some of you, if any of you are too young to know the name Emily Litella, look it up. Emily Litella. I'll put her name. Emily. I just put it in the chat. If you're too young to know that name, look up Emily Litella on YouTube and watch videos with Emily Litella. Anyway, the failed effort to derail Kavanaugh's confirmation was successfully used by Republican Senate candidates during their final push to flip Democrat-controlled seats. The Democratic senators up for re-election who voted against Kavanaugh, such as Claire McCaskill of Missouri, were unseated a month later. McCaskill's Republican opponent, Josh Hawley, made her Kavanaugh vote his central issue down the stretch, and McCaskill acknowledged it worked. One of the few Democratic senators who managed to hold on, West Virginia's Joe Manchin, was the only Democratic Senate Democrat who voted to confirm Kavanaugh. Republican strategist Brad Todd, whose firm consulted several Republican Senate candidates in 2018, said their polling found Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court to be the most successful campaign message of the cycle. So anyway, they brought this up, and it bit him in the butt once. I don't know, it doesn't necessarily. I don't know that it necessarily works in House races because the House doesn't vote on confirmation of judges, but for Senate races, for the most of the Senate seats coming up are in states that could be toss-ups. So I think it's one of those issues that they use because they lost the House in 2018 or didn't, but the Senate actually gained seats in the Senate. So there you go. It's interesting. I don't know if they want this to be their number one issue, but they keep talking about it, and they just all jumped in head first, and then realized the pool was shallow, and a lot of them got scrapes on their nose and chins and foreheads and shit. So that was an analogy if you weren't sure what I was talking about there. All right, real quick, let's hit Twitter trends, and then we gotta get out of here because I am behind schedule a little bit. So here we go. By the way, Teresa Chiera, thank you for following. Who is that? And then why? Okay. Someone who's, this is one of those new accounts. Okay. Well, thanks for following me on Twitter. If you are Teresa Chiera and you happen to be watching me here, also remember Twitter right there. At Dawg Knight, if you want to follow me on Twitter. All right, let's get into some Twitter trends. That's what's happening. Let's see what's trending on Twitter and see if we can figure out what people are going to be talking about for the rest of the day. Now, apparently, this is weird. Cokie Roberts is trending number 1. Oh, that's too bad. Now, Cokie Roberts passed away. This must have just been announced because this was not on here earlier. Cokie Roberts, here we go. Veteran journalist and ABC News political commentator Cokie Roberts has passed away at the age of 75. Let's see real quick here. That's too bad. I mean, I don't know that I agreed politically with her, but I think she's a figure that I had watched for many years on ABC News. And, a good journalist. A renowned ABC News journalist and political commentator, Cokie Roberts has died at the age of 75. Roberts won countless awards, including 3 Emmys throughout her decades-long career. She has been inducted into the Broadcasting and Cable Hall of Fame and was cited by American Women in Radio and Television as one of the 50 greatest women in the history of broadcasting. She was named a living legend by the Library of Congress in 2008. We will miss Koki beyond measure, both for her contributions and for her love and kindness, her family said in a statement. Her death was due to complications from breast cancer. She was born Mary Martha Corrine Morrison. Claiborne Boggs said she got the name Koki from her older brother, who couldn't pronounce Corrine and dubbed her Koki instead. The name stuck with her ever since. That's funny because my nephew, when my nephew was learning how to talk, he couldn't say grandpa, so he kept calling my dad Pokey. And after that, everyone in the family called him Pokey, so that was kind of funny. Besides, he was getting, or my dad, I said, did I say my dad? Yeah, my nephew called my dad Pokey, and that's how he got his nickname, Pokey, and all the other grandkids and so on, great grandkids called him Pokey too. Anyway, Roberts was a true pioneer of women in journalism, Goldstein said, well regarded for insightful analysis of politics and policy in Washington, D.C., countless newsmaking interviews, and notably her unwavering support for generations of young women and men who would follow in her footsteps. She's survived by her husband, fellow journalist Stephen Roberts, her children Lee and Rebecca, and her 6 grandchildren. So rest in peace, Koki Roberts. She is actually quite a legend in journalism, and sad to see when people that you're very familiar with die. Moving on, number 2, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones named starting quarterback by the New York Giants. Is Eli Manning hurt again? Is that why? Oh no, it says the Eli Manning era is over for the New York Giants. In the past 2 days, Eli Manning benched, Daniel Jones promoted. Minka Fitzpatrick traded to the Steelers from the Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey requests to be traded. Roethlisberger placed on IR with elbow injury. Drew Brees sidelined roughly 6 weeks with a thumb injury. Anything else? Okay, that's the update for the NFL. Number 2. Number 3, Constitution Day. We talked about that a little bit earlier, talking about the Second Amendment. But you know what? The entire Constitution is important. And I don't think we should have, nothing. Now, in the Bill of Rights, shall be infringed. The Bill of Rights, think about it. The Bill of Rights is not about what your rights are, but they're about rights you have that your government cannot take away from you without cause. So don't ever think of it as the government gives you rights. Wrong. That's not how it works in the United States. In the United States, you have rights that the government cannot take away from you. That's a very important distinction. So anyway, wake up, look around the house, no soldiers quartered here. Thanks, Constitution Day. That's from Baseball Crank. The change, the top one. On September 17th, 1787, the Constitution was signed, providing the foundation for the laws, rights, and government structure of the United States of America. Today we celebrate Constitution and Citizenship Day, commemorating the signing and recognizing the rights and freedoms of U.S. citizens. Now, I'm sure there'll be some people saying, well, we didn't have rights for everybody when they signed the Constitution, and some of those assholes had slaves, and blah, 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 blah. Again, the Constitution is a great document because despite the fact that our ideals weren't perfectly ensconced, when it was signed, it was the foundation for what we have today. It is the fact that we now, many people who didn't have those rights have them now. It took some generations. It took some change of mindset. It took some just change in general. But we should still celebrate the Constitution. It's a unique document. Well, it's not so unique anymore because many countries have kind of copied it. But in practice, we're one country that it seems to have worked very well, and it's it's such an important document in our history and in our daily life. So happy Constitution Day for those who would use that as a greeting, I guess. My flag's already flying, so there you go. Number 4, Tuesday Thoughts. Are there any thoughts on Tuesday Thoughts? Hey, Jeff the Conservatarian, I've been following him for a while. Everyone, including black Americans, know that political parties change over time. They understand that it doesn't make any sense to leave a party for something it did 150 years ago. Huh, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to put that. I think he's talking about whether or not you should leave the Democratic Party, but you know what? I don't know. I don't think you should, or should you be a part of a party for what it did 50 years ago either. If they're not doing you any good, don't be a part of it. Figure out something new. Anyway, this is becoming a real problem nowadays. Tuesday Thoughts. Trained cat hypnotizes woman. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Here's a series of photos demonstrating the hypnotic powers of puffy Persian something cat. I can't read it. It's really small, but the cat hypnotized a woman. Okay, that's something new. Anything else in Tuesday Thoughts? What if Ada actually waited for once? I don't know what that means. That's from Resident Evil. Oh, this is interesting. Look at this. Holy shit. Okay. Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. It's kind of like a big version of something dominoes falling. I wonder if that thing's going to collapse after that gets to the top. Can you all see this? Has I got it on the screen? Okay, now it's... Oh, it is! Oh, no way! Dude, we're going to watch that again. I'm going to put it full screen. I don't know if you see it well enough, but that was really freaking cool. Wait a minute, that's not it. I want to get this full screen. Here, let's do this. We'll do a YouTube window. No, let's make us here. Let me fix a window for you here. Hold up, because this is cool. All right, hang on. I'll make a special window for this. Here, we'll just take this. Give me 1 second. Since I'm doing Twitter. Let's see. 1 second here. All right. Bam. Now let's watch this. This is pretty cool. All right. They look like wood planks instead of like dominoes. Wow, that was really wild. The 8th is being infringed right now. A Michigan man is being held on $5 million bond right now for something that has a max fine of $1,000. Wow, that's not cool. Hello, King of Democles, or Democles, however you say it. Kingslayer Democles. And Miss Lilith Rain, how are you? So anyway, that's, okay. Wow, hey, Kingslayer Democles, if you have an article on that, will you send it to me via Twitter DMs, or you can email it to me at pdawgknight@gmail.com. I would love to hear about that story. So please send that to me. All right. So that's that. That's our for Tuesday Thoughts. That's it. Let's put this back on here. All right, moving on. Danny Dimes, trending number 5. What does that mean? I don't know. Oh, Danny. That's Daniel Jones being taken, moved up to quarterback of the New York Giants. Sorry, Eli Manning. You know, Eli Manning probably is close to retirement age for a football player anyway. I get it. Trending number 6, millennial retirement plans. This ought to be good. This ought to be good because millennials think we're going to be living in a socialist utopia. So let's see what some of the top hashtag millennial retirement plans are. Some of the top entries are work and rage myself to death. Okay. Sell computer stuff to boomers. Hey, that's not funny. Only millennial retirement plans that have a chance are the ones that include overthrowing global capitalism and seizing the means of productions. So you want to, so you can live in poverty? The only ones that leave us with a planet to live on involve decolonization and the end of military and imperialism. Well, Mr. Woke Man, I heard one of the most interesting things the other day. So a lot of black people in the United States already live under socialism. If you think about it, not all black people, but a large part of the black community already lives in socialism. Or what was the guy saying? Oh, Leo Dunson. He lived in socialism. He grew up in public housing. He grew up with food stamps. He grew up with, the free so-called education. And he grew up in poverty. And it's when he got out of socialism when they didn't live in poverty anymore. Because living in socialism is living in poverty. Oh, my God. People. Let's see. Finally, earn enough experience to get an entry-level job. Millennial retirement plans. Work yourself to death and you won't have to worry about retirement. Millennial retirement. Oh my God. Work myself to death since healthcare is a death sentence and Social Security won't exist by the time I'm of retirement age. Or just wait for the nuclear apocalypse. Millennial retirement plans. That's some negativity right there. Part of the problem is a lot of us in the United States of all ages aren't real good at living within our means. And we want everything now. And I think with both of my kids, much better than us, because my wife and I are part of that. We consumer culture. But our kids actually started learning to live within their means and already have retirement savings started in this young age. And so maybe it's a matter of teaching people financial literacy. We talked about that once too, financial literacy. Maybe that's something that should be taught in schools. I certainly think that it's, whatever. It's just one of those things that people got to start planning because, yes, you're right. The way Social Security is going, the Great American Ponzi scheme, is running out of people putting money into the Ponzi scheme. Plus, we keep, we've made it so that people rely on it rather than it be just a supplement. I don't know that it was ever meant. Well, maybe it was meant to be when it came out during Roosevelt. Way to sustain older people, but it's always been a Ponzi scheme. It's always been, it was always based on the fact that we were always going to have, the next generation was always going to be larger than the next, and was always going to be able to put in money to actually pay for that next generation. It was never a savings account. It wasn't like when Al Gore was talking about the lockbox back in the 2000 election. There was no freaking lockbox. There was no savings. It was always taxes on the people who are working now to pay for the people who are retired now. It's always been a Ponzi scheme. So now that there's more retired people, because that huge generation of boomers, is coming to retirement age, and the rate of population growth has slowed. Now you have to have more people paying in more money to pay for the people who are retired now. It's always been a Ponzi scheme since day one. Finally coming at you though, right? It's finally hitting. So, start putting money away. Okay, millennials, We've taught our kids that, so hopefully they will continue to do that. Thank you, Eli. People saying thank you to Eli Manning for this great career, but you know what? Eli has a Super Bowl ring. In fact, didn't Eli get a Super Bowl ring before Peyton did? I'm pretty sure that's the case. And then I think Peyton got a couple with the Broncos or something like that. But yeah, Eli's had a good career, but you know what? Everyone's career dies down in the NFL. All right. Saved by the Bell is trending. Oh, God. Come on. Saved by the Bell, Punky Brewster, and Battlestar Galactica reboots are coming to the NBC network. So nothing original. I don't know if Saved by the Bell, I don't know how that's going to work. It's going to be woke Saved by the Bell. I guarantee it. It's going to be woke as F. NBC announced details of its new streaming service, Peacock. Oh, okay. It's going to be on this Peacock network. Saved by the Bell, Punky Brewster, Battlestar Galactica reboots coming to NBC's Peacock. The name of NBC Universal's new streaming service is Peacock. There will be no jokes whatsoever about their new streaming service, Peacock. Ever. It rolls out in April 2020 with The Office, Parks and Recreation, Universal Blockbusters, and reboots of Saved by the Bell and Battlestar Galactica. It'll be advertising and subscription supported. So, God, the subscription service shit is getting out of hand. I'm just saying. And that's why, the things you like on Hulu all of a sudden are gone. And the things you like on Netflix are all of a sudden gone. And the thing you like on Amazon all of a sudden are gone because now they're going to this network and this network. And Disney's going to put out a network. And NBC's going to put out Peacock. I don't know. Punky Brewster. Remember Punky Brewster? What was that girl's name that played Punky Brewster? I can't remember. Anyway, all right. So, yeah, Saved by the Bell. I don't know. How do you do a reboot of Saved by the Bell? It's because now you can't have a Screech anymore because you can't make fun of geeky kids. You can't have, Slater because, he's a little too much toxic masculinity. And then you can't have, the two hot chicks. They're going to have to be lesbians now. I don't know. Whatever. I don't care anymore. I can't even watch TV. Bork is trending, probably because Kavanaugh, something like. Bork had a full hearing and was voted down in the Senate Judiciary Committee 9-5 with a Republican voting against him, and then voted down again in the full Senate 58-42 with 6 Republicans. So no. That didn't justify. Democrats who think court packing is justified by Garland forget that Garland was justified by Bork. In this game, you don't move last. Whatever. Bork was unfairly maligned, and you know what? I don't know why. Let's see. But yeah, he was voted against by the. What do they call them? Rhinos? Anyway, there's arguing about Bork because they're talking about Merrick Garland and Robert Bork, and the opposition was characterized by Ted Kennedy saying Bork's America was characterized by, among other things, segregated lunch counters. The left destroyed the apolitical nature of the nomination process. It was the blueprint for Thomas and Kavanaugh. Yeah, Republican nominees are always going to get slimed, and that's just how it is. And I don't know. Alex Trebek is trending because he's going back into chemotherapy. Weeks after saying he was finished with chemo, Alex Trebek shared that he has experienced a health setback. That's too bad. Everybody loves Alex Trebek. If you pray for Alex Trebek. Hispanics is trending. Why is Hispanics trending? Just the word Hispanics. Oh my God. Who do you like more, the country or the Hispanics? President Trump asked advisor Steve Cortes during his New Mexico rally on Monday. Who do you like more, the country or the Hispanics? Okay, he said, Trump had a faux pas, so it's trending. This is the divided loyalty meme that bigots and xenophobes have used for centuries against Jews, African Americans, Hispanics, and anyone else who does not fit their warped definition of purity. Then Trump says nobody loves the Hispanics more than his supporter Steve Cortes. Then he asks Cortes, who do you like more, the country or the Hispanics? When Cortes apparently says the country, Trump says, I don't know. Ah, fuck's sake. You know, Trump just says stupid shit all the time, and that's the thing that gets him in trouble. But guess what? Who are we talking about? We're talking about Trump, because he gets all the attention, because you guys can't help yourselves. So, you know what? I don't think it hurts him that you're constantly talking about him. I just don't. Tony Soprano's trending. Why? Tony Soprano, Tyrion Lannister, Nate Fisher, top 3 HBO characters of all time, and go. Oh, I see. That's why Tony Soprano's... Yeah, you know what? It's funny because a lot of people saying Tony Soprano. I think that he probably is. Larry David, Omar Little, Tyrion Lannister. Who else is Omar? Stringer Bell, Lester Flanagan. Okay, so he's getting a lot of mentions in top 3 HBO characters of all time. Rob Schneider's trending. Why is Rob Schneider trending? Comedians are starting to speak up against the cancel culture. Good. We need more of that. Saturday Night Live. Comedians Rob Schneider, Jim Jeffries, Bill Burr ripped Saturday Night Live. Oh, because they fired this guy. They hired some dude, and apparently he said something bad in the past. And let's see. Dear Shane M. Gillis, as a former SNL cast member, I am sorry that you had the misfortune of being a cast member during this era of cultural unforgiveness, where comedic misfires are subject to the intolerable inquisition of those who never risked bombing on stage themselves. Yeah, he said some shit in the past, and people dug it up, and they and so now they're making, look, the shit you used to be able to do. So that's not fair. Rob Schneider's done a lot for Asian, Mexican, and women's rights. Yeah, because you used to be able to do that. And now cancel culture doesn't allow you to do anything anymore. Rob Schneider is Asian, yes. He's also super ready to work with Mel Gibson and shame those who called out Gibson's anti-Semitism. Always been ready to crap on Asians to go get ahead. So let's please not listen to Hollywood's Elaine Chao. Oh my God. Edgy comics. I want to bring racism back to the forefront of mainstream comedy. Rob Schneider, you can do it. While you're here, fuck Rob Schneider too. So he's getting a shit ton of hate for saying what he said. You know, the dude, yeah. Okay, so they're really going to bring up all the characters he's played? I'll bet you know what? Let's go check out some of your favorite comics and comedic people and see what they've said in the past they probably don't say anymore. It's just, oh God, so stupid. Champions League, excitement grows for the return of the Champions League, that's soccer, I don't give a shit. Mrs. Roberts, oh, that's for Cokie Roberts. Yeah, may she rest in peace. Geno Smith, something football. And then there's one last one that I'll go through. Instead of flying cars, we have microwave popcorn with buttons and popcorn packets that say do not use microwave button. Instead of flying cars, we have bumper-to-bumper traffic. Come on, science, let's get working on this. Yeah, we were supposed to have flying cars in the year 2000. I remember that as a kid. And there was Cars of the Future books, you know, like little books that talk about cars of the future and cars with a bubble top. And there was always a flying car in that Cars of the Future. And the future is here! Where's my damn flying car? Instead of flying cars, we have ice cream container liquors. What? Oh. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Instead of flying cars, we have fart noise apps on our phones. Instead of flying cars, we have depression and anxiety. Well, you're a fun date. God. Instead of flying cars, we have 200 different options for your coffee at Starbucks. Instead of flying cars, we have Taco Tuesdays, and I'm good with that. Instead of flying cars, oh my gosh, we have hoverboards, which burned down my friend's house last week. Instead of flying cars, we have cell phones that cost close to $1,000. Oh, and chicken sandwiches that people will fight to the death for. Okay, that's a funny one here. I'm gonna just Here's the instead of flying cars hashtag in the chat. You can go through that yourself because I got to call it a day. Hey everybody, I must thank you for being here. By the way, let's see. I just checking my DMs here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kingslayer. I want to see this article. We may check it out tomorrow during the show if I remember. Thank you. I got that. Wait, accept. Don't want to lose it. All right, Kingslayer Damocles. I got you. All right. Thank you all for being here on the Morning Night Live. I appreciate you coming today. And I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. GMT for those who use that in other parts of the world, whatnot. And hey, if you haven't done so already, now I'm going to go check over here again. Okay, so there's 17 people still here and 14 likes. Down there. Do that thing. And if you're watching after the fact, please share this out. Also, if you are ever here and you got to have something said on the air, I have the Streamlabs links down below where we do super chats because I don't have YouTube super chats. And I also do donations through that if you're so kind. But hey, I do this whether you do donations or not. That's just a nice icing on the cake. It's great incentive to keep doing what I'm doing. But I love what I'm doing, so I'm going to keep doing it. So thank you so much for being here today, but I absolutely got to leave. My name is Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and I want to thank you for joining me today on the Dawg Knight channel. Before you go, if you like what you saw and you're not already subscribed, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below, and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, and 2 p.m. GMT. A special thanks to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through our Streamlabs link in the description below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.